Well, today let's try something with Daphne. Here's the Daphne model sheet that I got when I was doing some work on one of the Scooby-Doo iterations a few years back. And she may be the hardest one to draw, so let's try and do a drawing of Daphne. We're just going to copy one from the model sheet here. We'll try this 3/4 front view, and let's see where we get to. What we might do this time differently is just trace her and show how to break down the character first. So let's get a piece of tracing paper, which is actually animation paper that's very thin. I saved this from my years working at Film Fair back in the prehistoric days. Let's see. Yeah. So just place it down and we're doing this drawing, so let's get her right about here. And what you can do when you're doing something like this, get some temporary tape on the top just to keep it still, and then put your paper on top of it. See how transparent that is? And what you do is you trace the basic shapes. So her head has to be underneath this hair, like this. Just sharpen the pencil a little bit. So that's one basic shape. Her head would come up here, and her cheeks out. But before we do her cheeks, we go straight down and around for her jawline. And then we put this line here. That's where her eyes and her nose. That's the bottom of the eyes. Here's the middle of the eyes going this line. And then her mouth. Her cheek comes from the bottom of the eye. And her neck would probably be about here. And there's one line. Now, for the rest of it, let's use the stick figure method and see where her limbs are. Her hands, forearms, another hand. Her body shape comes down like this, it goes up. She has a slant to her like that, and her hip is slanted. Now here's the center line of her legs. There's one leg, and here's the other leg. A center line for the foot. And then we'll make the foot, because that's what she's standing on. So that's how you can trace a character. And figure out, how is this character built? Now you can put in the solid, and her leg would come here, and we're just adding volume to her. This line goes up and attaches to the hip there. Now we're adding volume to her leg. And her arm, her shoulder is here, because that's what will be at the top of her shirt. And here's her forearms coming out like this. And this one goes here. And that's the basis of drawing her. Everything else is just icing on the cake, just dressing. Underneath her scarf, her chest would come up like that and then attach here. Her hair is just more ice cream on top. That hair comes down on this side like this and like that. That's how you learn how to draw a character. You guys can just print a picture out and just trace over it to figure out all the basic shapes and construction. And when you see that, here's the skeleton that goes underneath it and the forms that go around it. That's how we can quickly draw Daphne. Now, once you do that, let's take the tracing paper off, and I'll just tape this up here so I can see it. And let's see what we learned. We'll put in her head. That's the top of her head there. She's always tilting her head down, it seems. And we just make our guidelines across. This comes down here. She's got, it looks like an actual chin, a chin point, and this comes up. And where that line attaches, that's the bottom of her eye. And it goes up like this. And this is the guideline for the other eye. And it comes up like that. Her eyebrow right above it. And then her nose line down. And we try to aim her eyes. We're going to have her look right at camera. If we can here. Sometimes you just make the eyes a little bit bigger. And they can go right where we want them. Take this line up and go a little bit higher than the ball, and then go around the back. And her hair is going to come right down to her eyebrows, it seems. And then this massive hair on the top, and it comes down like that. So we can have her do her little half smile here and here. This. Now we bring her neck And by the way, her ear, if we could see her ear, would be right in here, like that. Now, let us try and get that same curve in there. Her shoulders slant like that. And I'm still doing just a skeleton, just lines that we're going to fill in later. But here's the basic curve that she's got. And her hip goes like this, but let's put a line across and then a line for her leg and a line for this leg. And arm sweeps down like that. This one comes out like this, and her hip comes down. Her hand is on her hip, so let's bring it up like that. And just like we did on the tracing, we'll go here to show her leg or thigh. And then her lower leg. And then here we will come for this nice curve like this. It's a very organic curve. And then here, let's see, that line, our line here does this. So we're going to take some liberties here and come down like this. Now if her heel is here, we can draw a line across and say the other heel should be in line with that. And then we can take out the lines that we don't really need. They were just there as guidelines anyway. So her skirt, it looks like it has to come down here, and it comes off of her hip like that a little bit, and up here, and it comes off her hip like that. We barely see her hands there. And then we need to have some ellipses to, I'm going to actually shorten her arm a little bit, come down like here. And her hair, we can go here and then go like this. 1, 2, like that. Get that ice cream looking just right. Her hair on her face comes right down like that, and another piece here comes right on her shoulder and then goes up. This one makes a form, so let's figure out how we can make these curves look like they're attaching, but they actually aren't. But it makes a good design. There we go. And she apparently wears a scarf or two. So one scarf comes down like this. The other one, let's see, it looks like it comes down across here and then goes up. And then there's one on top of that that comes down here and goes up to her arm, it seems, and then goes back up to her shoulder. And this one might come across like here and then a line here. Okay, so there's their Daphne. Now I didn't make it exactly like her, but then again, I'm not a human Xerox machine. Who is, right? I'm sure there are some guys out there that are, but I'm not. Anyway, this was drawn with a very cheap pencil called EXP pencil number 2. Might be from Home Depot or something. Not very expensive. I think if you go to the dollar store, you can get like a dozen pencils for $1. Better number 2. So you don't need really any special equipment. And looks like she has a little line there. So there's little details here and there that have to be thought of. Looks like her shoe has a weird design element here like this. And I don't know what it's supposed to be. I could probably call one of my friends up and they could tell me exactly what what is involved in this thing. So anyway, that's a really quick lesson in drawing Daphne. And we will continue next lesson with Velma. We'll have to draw Velma after this one. So until then, keep drawing, keep having fun.